The message from my mother left no room for doubt. A family meeting. 1900. Not discussed. I was standing at the door of my parents' house, my hand hovered over a bronze hammer. Whatever was waiting for me inside, I shouldn't have expected anything good. The perfectly manicured lawn and the gleaming Mercedes in the driveway literally screamed about success. The one that my family worshipped, and which, in their opinion, I never achieved. My name is Melanie. I am the black sheep of the Gonzalez family. While my brothers and sisters were collecting diplomas and awards like collectible cards, I went the other way. The one that allowed me to create things with my own hands. To build something unique, belonging only to me. The door swung open before I could knock. "You're late," the mother said, pressing her lips into a thin line. "Everyone is waiting." I looked at my watch. 18 hours and 58 minutes. In our family, it was considered that arriving less than 10 minutes before the appointed time was already late. When I entered the living room, there was silence in the room. My sister Wendy was sitting on the edge of a leather sofa, her lawyer's briefcase resting at her feet. Louise, who had just returned from duty at the hospital, did not even take off her uniform. She wore it as a badge of honor. Younger brother Nathan didn't even bother to look up from the phone. My father was standing by the fireplace with his hands clasped behind his back, like a general before a battle. "Sit down, Melanie," he commanded, pointing to the only chair facing the others. The setting reminded me of scenes from a reality show about interventions. "What's going on?" I asked, remaining standing. Wendy opened her briefcase and took out a document. "We discussed the future of the family," she said in her judicial tone, "and came to the necessary decision." "For the sake of the family," the mother added, sitting down next to Louise. The document was in my hands. Thick legal terminology, but some phrases caught my eye. Formal termination of family ties. Renunciation of inheritance rights. Termination of family membership. "Are you disowning me?" My voice was almost a whisper. "It's not personal," Nathan finally raised his head. "It's a business." "Business?" I laughed nervously, sharply, like glass hitting a stone. "I'm your daughter. Your sister. How can it not be personal?" "Your actions reflect badly on the name of the family," the father said in an even voice. "Your little needlework." "My business," I interrupted. "To do without a girl in your apartment." "It's not a business," Louise scoffed. "Do you even understand how I feel when my colleagues ask what my sister does?" "We gave you all the opportunities," the mother continued, "the best schools, connections, resources. And you threw it all away in order to mess with glue and glitter." I looked at the document again. My hands remained motionless despite the earthquake raging inside me. Years of caustic remarks, disappointed sighs, and sarcastic compliments have prepared me for this moment. They never understood me. And they didn't even try. "Where to sign?" The mother blinked, clearly expecting tears or pleading. "Melanie, if you would just reconsider your choice." "Where to sign?" Wendy pointed to the bottom of the page. "Initials here, signature here. A notary is waiting in the office." 10 minutes later it was all over. Officially, I was no longer part of the Gonzalez family. The weight of their expectations, condemnation, disappointment, all this disappeared from my shoulders. "I hope you understand," my father said as I headed for the exit. "It's for the best." I turned around for the last time, looking into the faces of people who, it would seem, should have loved me unconditionally. "Do you know what the funniest thing is?" I chuckled. "You are so worried about the family name, about success, about reputation, but you have never asked what I have actually achieved." "Melanie," the mother began. "No," I cut her off. "You have made your choice, now live with it." The door closed behind me with a soft click. Too quiet for such an event. My phone vibrated. Notification from a business account. Another big order, once again raising my monthly income to a six-figure sum. I smiled as I walked to the car, thinking about the pile of orders waiting to be fulfilled. About the upcoming cooperation with a major retailer, about the article that was written about me, and my innovative approach to eco-friendly design. They wanted to cut me off from my family. Great. Soon they'll realize who they've lost. After all, success is the best revenge. When I drove away from the house where I grew up, I felt neither sadness nor anger. Only one thing: freedom. The freedom to be yourself without excuses and excuses. Family, I realized. It's not just a common name or DNA. These are the ones who believe in you when no one else does. And there were such people in my life. They just weren't sitting at the table where I left my family. What did you do? Maru almost spilled coffee right on my desk. It's been 3 days since I was officially excluded from the family, and I finally plucked up the courage to tell my best friend about it. I just signed the papers, without arguing, I said, carefully applying gold foil to my new product. You should have seen their faces. They were waiting for tears, please, maybe a dramatic breakdown. But your inheritance, Mel, family ties. It all just disappeared. I put down my tools and looked at Mara directly. What inheritance? A share in a car dealership that I never needed. It's a privilege to listen at every family dinner. What a disappointment I am. No, thank you. The door swung open with a bang and Ezra ran in, clutching his laptop tightly to his chest like a lifeline. My marketer, my business partner, his timing has always been perfect. Mel, you need to see this. He turned the screen to me. Our latest collection was taken by the magazine Style and Home. They call you the master who turns the market of eco-friendly home decor. Mara leaned forward, staring at the screen. Damn it, Mel. It's really your income. That's just from last month, Ezra grinned. Wait until they see what we're cooking next. Only one project with eco-friendly packaging. My phone vibrated. Another order. Then another. And one more thing. What's going on? I asked. Ezra refreshed the page. The article just came out. We are in trends. The community of supporters of sustainable consumption is delighted with your material recycling techniques. I went to the shelf where my latest works were displayed. A tree that could have become garbage turned into elegant panels. The metal that was thrown away recast into expressive sculptures. Glass, which was forgotten by the revived in the form of stunning lamps. We need to expand, Ezra said, typing furiously. We are already receiving requests from 3 major retailers. They want exclusive collections. Mara squeezed my shoulder. And your family doesn't even know. I picked up an elegant bell made of sea glass and driftwood, which I finished this morning. They were too ashamed of their needlewoman to notice that she had built a business with 6-figure incomes from scratch. 7-digit numbers, to be precise, Ezra corrected me without looking up from the keyboard. Especially after these deals. My phone rang. An unfamiliar number. Hello, is this Melanie Gonzalez? A clear female voice rang out. Catherine Chen. Business. Forward. We are preparing a material about young entrepreneurs in the field of sustainable luxury. Your name pops up everywhere. I met Chesra's gaze. He gave me a thumbs up. I'd be happy to tell you more, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady despite my pounding heart. We are particularly interested in your story. A young woman in business. Innovative approach to sustainability, rapid growth. We are considering a variant with a cover. Are you open for an interview? I froze for a second, imagining the look on my family's faces when they would see me on the cover of a national business magazine. Absolutely. When did you plan to? After we agreed on the interview, I turned around and saw Mara and Ezra looking at me. Business. Forward. Ezra whispered. Do you even realize how cool this is? Their publications can create or destroy a company. Mara hugged me tightly. This is your moment, Mel. You'll prove everything to everyone. I gently pulled away and picked up the tools again. No, this is my moment to prove myself. I have orders that need to be completed. The next few weeks flew by in a blur. I hired 3 assistants to speed up production. Ezra expanded our online presence and made deals with retailers. Omara helped me prepare for an interview for Business Forward. One evening, while rehearsing the questions, she asked, "Tell me again about your inspiration." I lifted my latest work over the table, a chandelier made of broken mirrors and copper wire. I see beauty in broken things, in what others throw away. Everyone has potential if you look at it from a different angle. That, Mara said softly, is what makes your work special. You don't just create beautiful things, you tell stories about transformation. My phone vibrated. Messages about theses. A large department store wants to meet tomorrow, be ready. I looked around. My workshop, once just a dusty garage, has now turned into a full-fledged studio. Orders were lined up along the walls. Projects that had been started were waiting for completion on the desktops. The smell of polishing and new opportunities was in the air. You know what's the best part? I said to Mara, who was looking at the chandelier. I'm doing what I've always wanted to do. What they called a hobby is now turning into an empire. Mara hesitated. Have you heard anything from them? I shook my head. Not a word. I picked up my tools again. But they'll hear it soon. Everyone will hear. The light of the setting sun was refracted in the crystal pendants of the chandelier, scattering sparkling patterns on the walls. Just like in my life, I thought, broken parts can create something unexpectedly beautiful. Okay, it's time to work, I said, picking up a piece of recycled meat. These orders will not fulfill themselves. Here it is. Catherine from Business Forward quickly came up to me, her heels clattering loudly on the studio floor. Our cover star. She shoved a magazine into my hands. My own face was looking at me from the cover, surrounded by the most complex of my works. The headline read "The Queen of Sustainable Luxury: How Melanie Gonzalez Turned Trash into Treasure." The reaction is amazing, Catherine said excitedly. Social networks have exploded. 3 major TV channels want to interview you. At that moment, Ezra ran in, waving his phone. Mel, our website crashed due to traffic congestion. We already have a waiting list for each product. And that contract with the department store, they doubled their original offer. I ran my finger over the cover, still not believing it was real. The article described everything in detail. My creative process, business model, income growth. But there was not a word about how my family abandoned me. That's where the show called, Catherine continued. They want you in prime time on Monday morning. My phone vibrated again. A message from Wendy. We need to talk. Urgent. Family business. I showed the message to Maria, who was quietly laying out orders in the corner. Funny how they suddenly became a family again, she muttered. Another message came, this time from Louise. Have you seen the magazine? Why didn't you tell us anything? Call me back urgently. Ignore them, Ezra said, glancing at my phone. We have more important things to do. A Singapore collector wants to order 3 exclusive items, 6 digits each. Catherine cleared her throat. Speaking of numbers, Forbes wants to put you on the 3230 list. Notifications continued to pour in. Nathan, Mom's upset, you should call her. Father, we need to discuss your recent publicity. Your story inspires people, Catherine said, ignoring my family chaos. A young entrepreneur who was not afraid to go against the system and prove to everyone that she was right. It resonates. Especially the topic of sustainable development. A video of you collecting materials at construction sites has gone viral, Ezra added. People like to see the very process of turning waste into art. The phone vibrated again. Mom. Family dinner. Sunday, 1900. We have a lot to talk about. Mara looked over my shoulder. You're not going to go, are you? I put the phone down and picked up a piece of sea glass, turning it over in my fingers. Remember what you said about my work, Mara. About how I find beauty in broken things. Mel, no. They don't deserve it. I'm going, I interrupted her. But not for the reasons they think. The rest of the week passed in a blur. The interview on the Today Show went viral, orders were pouring in faster than we could process them. I hired 5 more assistants, rented an additional workspace. Just look at these numbers. Ezra exclaimed at our Friday meeting. We exceeded the annual plan in just 2 months. The sustainable luxury market can't get enough of your work. The waiting list for custom products is 6 months, one of my assistants added. Even with a premium price. I nodded, but listened with half an ear. I couldn't get Sunday dinner out of my head. And then my phone lit up with a notification that changed everything. Damn it. I exhaled. Ezra looked up. What happened? Museum of Modern Art. They want to present my work at the upcoming Sustainable Art exhibition. There were cheers in the studio. Mara hugged me tightly. You see what happens when you believe in yourself. When do they want to meet? Ezra asked, already opening the calendar. Next week in New York, I laughed. They're sending a private jet to pick me up. Sunday came too fast. When I drove up to my parents' house, all their cars were already in place. The whole family, as always, on time. The phone vibrated for the last time. A message from Catherine. Breaking news. Your material in Business Forward won the Story of the Year award in the store. Congratulations. I smiled as I put my phone in my bag. Perfect timing. The door opened before I could knock. My mother was standing on the doorstep, looking exactly the same as the night they abandoned me. But now there was something new in her eyes. Despair? Melanie. Dear? She stepped forward to hug me, but I didn't respond. We missed you. I could see the others behind her. Wendy's back with her briefcase. Louise pretending to read something on her phone. Nathan, who at least looked at me this time. Father, as always, was standing by his beloved fireplace. Really? I asked as I walked past my mother into the house. Or do you just lack what I represent now? There was a tense silence in the room. I noticed several copies of Business Forward on the coffee table. From the cover, my face looked at us all, a symbol of everything they had once rejected. We need to talk, Father said. There was no longer the same confidence in his voice. About the future, about the family. I sat down in the same chair in which I sat a few months ago, when they decided that I was unworthy to be part of their family. Yes, I nodded, smoothing the hem of my designer dress, bought with money from my little needlework hobby. Let's talk about the future. The silence in the living room was so dense that it could be cut with a knife. The mother fussed, pouring tea, which no one asked for. My father was clearing his throat, as if he was going to say something important. You have an impressive job, Wendy finally said, tapping her finger on the cover of the magazine. The profit figures mentioned in the article are quite remarkable. Notable. I raised an eyebrow. And I thought it was just a hobby. Games with glue and glitter, isn't that right, Louise? Louise shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Perhaps we jumped to conclusions. Were you in a hurry? I took a sip of tea. You disowned me, notarized it. My father stepped forward. We discussed it as a family, and came to the conclusion that it's time to fix that unfortunate situation. An annoying situation. I repeated his words, savoring them on my tongue. Is that what you call it now? Wendy, always a lawyer, reached for her briefcase. I have prepared papers canceling the previous agreement. We can arrange everything today. How convenient. I studied their faces. Right after the cover of the magazine, after appearing on TV, after the announcement of the exhibition at the museum. Exhibitions. Nathan started up. In which museum? At the Museum of Modern Art, I said casually, enjoying their stunned expressions. I'm being sent to New York next week. By private jet. Mom dropped the cup. The porcelain shattered on the parquet floor with a crash, but no one even moved to remove the fragments. Melanie. His father's voice became the way he used to talk about big deals. There's something else we need to talk about. The dealership is experiencing difficulties, I finished for him. I know. I did some research. The transition to electric vehicles has hit you harder than you expected. Banks are no longer so willing to lend. The blood drained from his face. Where are you from? I have excellent financial advisors now. I shrugged my shoulders. They keep me informed of possible investments. Then you understand. Wendy intervened. The family business needs changes. Your steady approach, your media influence. This may be exactly what we need. I laughed. The sound echoed through the tense room. So that's the thing. You don't need my return. You need my success to save you. It's not fair. Louise was indignant. We're a family. Family. I got up and walked over to the fireplace, where the family photos were still hanging. Not one with my face on it. 3 months ago, in this very room, you made it clear to me that I am no longer your family. People make mistakes, Mom said quietly. We're trying to fix it. I turned to them. No. You're trying to save yourself. The dealership is on the verge of bankruptcy, right? I looked at my father and Wendy. Father, your partnership, which you were promised, fell apart when your main client left. Louise, your hospital is cutting staff, and Nathan's research funding has been withdrawn. They looked at me in shock, not understanding how I knew everything. Like I said, I smiled. I have good advisors. We could help each other, my father insisted. Combine resources. The Gonzalez name still means something in this town. My name means something, I corrected him. My job means something, and I did it without your help. In fact, I have achieved this despite your active disapproval. My phone vibrated. A message from Ezra. The Singapore collector doubled the amount again, says, the price is not a question. I have a meeting, I said, packing up my things, with people who believed in me even before magazine covers and TV appearances. Melanie, please. My mother grabbed my arm. We're sorry. We were wrong. What else can we say? I gently removed her hand. Do you know what the most interesting thing about my work is? I looked at them. I take the broken things that people throw away and turn them into something valuable. But some things, if they are broken, cannot be repaired. Some relationships, if broken, remain broken forever. Are you really going to hold a grudge against us? Nathan spoke up after we apologized. Apologized. I went to the door. All I've heard is a business proposal and a convenient excuse. None of you have said that you are proud of what I have achieved. Neither of you admitted that you were wrong about me, you just want to get what I have now. That's not true. Wendy began. Leave it. I cut her off. Leave your papers and business proposals, I'm fine without you. At the door, I turned around for the last time. You know what's the worst part? If you had supported me from the very beginning, I would have helped you without hesitation. Family has always been important to me. But you taught me a valuable lesson when you abandoned me. Sometimes the family we choose turns out to be better than the one we were born into. I went out, leaving them with a broken cup and trampled pride. My phone vibrated again. Mara, how did it go? Me. As expected. They want what I have, not me. Mara. Their loss. The studio is packed with orders. Do you want to help? I'll order a pizza. I smiled as I started the car. Already on the way. Family dinners are overrated. The sun was setting, casting long shadows behind me, just like the pieces of metal I was working with. I was thrown out, but I found a way to shine. Someone would call it karma, I called it justice. 3 days later, a message arrived. Dinner tonight. Please. Dad. I showed the message to Ezra at the morning meeting. You think he's really going to say please in person? Don't go, Ezra waved off, without looking up from his laptop. We have a meeting in Momo tomorrow, plus we still need to review contracts with Singapore. I'm going, I said, picking up a piece of twisted metal in my hands, wondering what I could make of it. But this time I choose the place. I sent a message. I'll make a reservation. The answer came instantly. It's quite expensive. I'm buying. Lawn was a restaurant that my parents were once proud of, until they started having money problems. I arrived in advance in a designer dress, the cost of which exceeded my former monthly rent. The parents arrived exactly at the appointed time, looking uncomfortable. The maître recognized me immediately. "Miss Gonzalez, your usual table is ready. The chef sends his regards and asks if you would like to try the special tasting menu that he has prepared." The parents' eyes widened. I smiled. "That's going to be great, Thomas. Thank you." When we sat down, my father cleared his throat. "Your usual table." "I'm investing in a local business," I replied, taking a sip of water. "This restaurant, including the chef, works amazingly with environmentally friendly ingredients." The mother fidgeted nervously with her napkin. "Melanie, about Sunday." "Let's order first," I interrupted her when the sommelier came to the table. "Borda 1982, please." "A whole bottle." His father's face tightened. I knew he recognized the 4-digit price tag on the wine. When our glasses were filled, I leaned back in my chair. "So, what's so urgent?" They exchanged glances before father spoke. "The bank demanded the immediate repayment of all our loans," my father finally said. "We have 30 days to either refinance the debt or sell the car dealership." Mother abruptly intervened. "We have explored all the options. In this market, no one gives loans to car dealers, especially for those who do not have a clear plan for the transition to electric vehicles." "Exactly," I added. The first course was served. Tiny works of art on perfectly clean plates. The parents barely touched their food. "We need help," my father finally admitted. "Financial assistance," I clarified, "not family reconciliation." "Both," the mother objected. "We were wrong, Melanie. Absolutely wrong. Seeing what you've built, who you've become." "Who have I become?" I put down my fork. "I'm still the same as I was 3 months ago. The only difference is, now I have money and influence." The second course was served. My father never touched the first one. "We're not just asking for money," he said. "We want to unite businesses. Your vision, your steady approach, can save the car dealership. Electric cars, eco programs, and restore the good name of the family," I finished for him. "So that's what you really need." My mother took my hand, and I let her, watching her expression. "We're losing everything, Melanie: home, business, reputation." "How I lost my family." I took my hand away. The main course was served, a perfectly cooked wagyu. The chef himself came up to us. "Everything's fine, Antonio," I assured him. "Your new menu based on eco-friendly products. A real masterpiece." When he was gone, his father leaned forward. "How much?" "What? How much do you need to save a car dealership?" I laughed. Laughter echoed around the room, drawing stares from nearby tables. "You still don't understand. It's never been about money." "Then what do you want?" my father asked irritably, having lost his usual composure. I looked him straight in the eye. "I wanted you to love me for who I am. I wanted you to be proud of me before magazine covers and TV broadcasts. I wanted a family that would see my worth without a price tag." Dessert was served. An amazing combination of cotton candy and gold leaf. The mother was crying silently. "We can change," she whispered. "We will become better." I motioned to the waiter. "Maybe. But you know what the difference is. I don't need it anymore. I no longer need your approval, your connections, your last name. I built something beautiful out of what you threw away." The bill arrived. I handed the waiter my black card, without even looking at the amount. "That's it?" Father asked, "Are you just going to let our business die? Will you let us lose everything?" I stood up, straightening my dress. "You taught me an important lesson when you rejected me. Business is business. And nothing personal." "Melanie, please," the mother began. "I have a flight to New York in the morning, Pilibi," I interrupted. "A car from the museum will pick me up at 6. Enjoy your dinner, it's already paid for." I left the restaurant, leaving them with the cooling food and an even colder reality. The phone vibrated. Mara. How did it go? Me. They finally said please. It's a pity that for the wrong reason. The night air was pleasantly cool on my face. Tomorrow, I will be discussing my art in one of the world's leading museums. And today, I left my parents with a bill they never expected to pay. The price they set themselves when they abandoned me. They offered how much? Mara almost fell off her chair in my hotel in New York. 20 million, I repeated, still looking at the contract that my mother's lawyers had brought. Permanent exhibition and consultation on their sustainable art program. Damn it, Ezra whispered, pacing the room nervously. And that's not counting deals with Singapore and retailers. The phone vibrated again. Wendy. Dad's meeting with bankruptcy lawyers tomorrow. Please call me back. I ignored the messages, looking at the lights of Manhattan outside the window. In an hour, the museum's car will come for me to sign the contract. Your family is just bombarding me with messages, Mara said. Louise came to the studio yesterday. Why? I wanted to explain their side. She said they were about to lose their house. Nathan is coming back to live with them, now that his research program has closed. Another message from my mother. Please come home. We need to talk. Like a family. Ezra stopped and looked at me. Do you know what the most ironic thing is? If they hadn't abandoned you, your business wouldn't have grown so fast. You've turned all this pain into your strength. I looked at the signed contract. They cut me out of their family. But now they were the ones I had to cross out. The bank demanded immediate repayment of all our loans, said the father. We have 30 days to either refinance or sell the dealership. We have considered all possible options, the mother quickly added. No one gives loans to car dealers, especially those who do not have a clear plan for switching to electric vehicles. Exactly, I nodded when the first serving arrived, tiny works of art on perfectly white plates. The parents barely touched their food. We need help, my father finally said, as if these words were physically difficult for him. Financial assistance, I clarified. Not family reconciliation. Both, her mother insisted. We were wrong, Milane. They are not right at all, seeing what you have built. Who have you become? Who have I become? I put down my fork. I'm the same as I was 3 months ago. The only thing that has changed is that I now have money and influence. The second course was brought. My father never touched the first one. We are not just asking for money, he said, we want to unite the business. Your vision, your sustainable approach, it can save the dealership. Electric cars, eco-friendly practices, and the preservation of the family name. I finished for him. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Mother gently took my hand. I let her, carefully watching her face. We are losing everything in Milan. Our home, our business, our reputation. How I lost my family. I gently withdrew my hand. The main course was served, a perfectly cooked wagyu. The chef personally came to the table to make sure that everything was in order. Everything is perfect, Antonio, I assured him. New sustainable menu. Brilliant. When he was gone, his father leaned forward. How much? Excuse me. To save the dealership, how much do you want? I laughed. Several customers at nearby tables looked around. Do you still not understand? It's never been about money. Then what is it? My father asked, his carefully concealed annoyance beginning to break out. I wanted you to love me for who I am, I replied quietly. To make you proud of me before my face appeared on the covers of magazines. I wanted a family that sees my value, not through the prism of the numbers in the bank account. Dessert was brought, an amazing piece of sugar caramel and gold leaf. The mother wept silently. We can change, she whispered. We will be better. I raised my hand, beckoning the waiter. Maybe you can, I said. But here's the thing. I don't need it anymore. I don't need your endorsements, your connections, or your name. I created something beautiful out of what you threw away. The bill was brought in a black leather folder. I handed over the card without even looking at the amount. So that's it? My father asked. Are you going to let the family business die? Will you let us lose everything? I stood up, straightening my dress. You taught me an important lesson when you rejected me, I said, looking down at them. Business is business, nothing personal. Melanie, please, my mother tried. I have a flight to New York in the morning, I interrupted her. A car from the museum will pick me up at 6 in the morning. I left the restaurant, leaving my parents with their cold dinner and an even colder reality. The phone vibrated. Mara. How did it go? Me. They finally said please. It's a pity that for the wrong reason. The night air pleasantly chilled my face as I drove home. Tomorrow, I will discuss my art in one of the largest museums in the world. And today, I left my parents with the most expensive bill they've ever seen. The real price of giving up family for the sake of reputation. They suggested what? Mara nearly fell off her chair in my New York hotel room. 20 million, I repeated, still looking at the contract my mother's lawyers had given me. For permanent installation and consulting on their sustainable art project. Saint, Ezra whispered, pacing the room nervously. And that's not counting deals with Singapore and retailers. My phone vibrated again. Wendy. Dad's meeting with bankruptcy lawyers tomorrow. Please call. I ignored the message, looking out at Manhattan at night. A car from the museum will pick me up in an hour. Your family is ripping up my phone, Mara said. Louise came to the studio yesterday. And what did she want? Explain their side. He says they're about to lose their house. Nathan moves in with them again. His research grant was withdrawn. Another message. Mom, please come home. We need to talk as a family. Ezra stopped and looked at me. You know what's ironic? If they hadn't disowned you, your business wouldn't have grown so fast. You've channeled all this pain into your work. I looked at one of my new projects. A sculpture of a phoenix rising from twisted metal and shards of glass. This is different, I said. Really? Mara carefully took the phoenix in her hands, watching the light refract in the glass. Maybe this is your chance to turn something broken into something beautiful. The phone vibrated again. Nathan. They're putting Mom's jewelry up for auction. Even an engagement ring. They made their choice, I said, but my voice faltered. Ezra sat down, typing on his laptop. Look, he turned the screen to me. You can buy out a dealership for literally pennies. Turn it into an electric car showroom. Your sustainable brand, plus their infrastructure. But it can only work if you want it to, Mara added. There was a knock on the door. Courier. There is a letter in a thick envelope. By hand. Melanie. I've rewritten this letter 100 times, but not a single word sounds right. Nothing can justify what we have done. You were always the strongest of us, the real one, and we were too blind to see it. I'm not asking for money. I'm asking for a chance to be the father I should have been. A chance to be the family you deserve. We lose everything, but we lost the most important thing on the day we signed those papers. We've lost you. I'm proud of you not because of your success, but because of who you've always been. With love, Dad. The paper trembled in my hands. Mel. Mara asked softly. He said he was proud of me, I whispered. For the first time in my life. Ezra closed the laptop. The contract with the museum can be signed later. The phone vibrated again. Louise. Mom's in the hospital. The stress of exhaustion. She asks about you all the time. I looked at Phoenix. Call a car, I said. We need to stop by the bank. They looked at each other, but followed me. Phoenix took his temporary place in the center of the conference room. His shadows danced on the tired faces of my family. Before we see Mom, I said, laying out a stack of documents on the table, we need to clarify something. This. Wendy began, immediately recognizing the legal papers. New company structure. Yes, I nodded. The dealership will be transformed into Phoenix Electric, a sustainable brand of premium electric vehicles. I will pay off my debts, invest in infrastructure, and integrate my art installations into showrooms. They looked at each other, their eyes widened when they saw the numbers. But there are conditions. Of course there is. Nathan muttered. The first one? I am the CEO. It's not up for discussion. The father becomes the honorary chairman, exclusively in an advisory role. You all get a share, but not by birthright, but by your contribution to the new vision of the company. Wendy reached for the documents, but I put them away. I'm not done yet. Second, the old family orders are dying today. No more condemnations for life choices. There is no pressure to drive people into a framework that does not suit them. Is this revenge? Louise asked quietly. No. I picked up the Phoenix. It's a resurrection. But first you have to realize what you have done. I met the eyes of each of them. Wendy, you drew up the documents about my abdication. Louise, you made fun of my hobby at every opportunity. Nathan, you couldn't even look at me that night. You all chose the status, not the sister. There was silence in the room, only the hum of the fluorescent lamps could be heard. We were wrong, Wendy whispered. Say it louder. We were wrong. She stood up, tears in her eyes. Me. I let my fears and insecurities blind me. While I was trying to live up to other people's expectations, you were building something really great. Louise came closer. I was jealous, she admitted. You had the courage to follow your passion. And I was just following the path that was chosen for me. I'm so sorry, Mel. Nathan remained seated. I was a coward, he said simply. I knew they were wrong about you. But it was easier for me to be silent. I put the Phoenix back on the table. This is the beginning. And now about Mom and Dad. The door opened and my father came in. He looked older than ever. I heard everything, he said. The nurses said you were here and I was. He broke off, his gaze fell on Phoenix. Dad. He raised his hand. Now it's my turn. He walked up to the sculpture, ran his finger along the glass wings. That's fine. Like everything you create. He took a deep breath. I was too proud, too stubborn to see it. To see you. The company, Wendy began. It's not about the company, he interrupted her. Your mother is upstairs in a hospital room, not knowing if she will see her daughter again. And not because of the money. Not because of business. He looked at me. We gave up our own child for nothing. I felt my eyes sting, but I didn't let the tears come out. No way, I said, barely holding back my emotions. You abandoned me for the sake of reputation. For the sake of status. For the sake of the family name. And where did she leave you? My father gestured at the hospital walls. Our name doesn't mean anything anymore, but you. You've built something real. Something meaningful? He took the documents from the table, quickly scanning them with his eyes. These conditions, they are more than fair. Too much. You're giving up control, Nathan said. And that's right, my father nodded. Look what my control has led to. Then he looked at me again. The company is yours. Family. It's up to you. I took a deep breath. Mom first, then we'll sign. We took the elevator up in silence. In front of the door of Ward 304th, I stopped them. One more thing, I said. Those papers that you refused me, I want them to be publicly destroyed at the first meeting of the board of directors of Phoenix Electric. We will do it, they answered in unison. Mom looked small in a hospital bed. When she saw me, she immediately burst into tears. My girl. She held out her hands to me. I'm so sorry. So sorry. I took her trembling fingers in mine. I know, Mom. Tears rolled down her cheeks. We can't bring back the past, but can we try again? Please. I looked around. My family was standing in front of me. Broken, humble, but still here. Like the materials I worked with. The most damaged pieces can sometimes be turned into something even stronger than before. Yes, I whispered, squeezing my mother's hand, let's try. Yes, I said, squeezing her hand, but this time we're doing it right. All together. The phoenix on the conference room table caught the last rays of the setting sun, scattering golden ribbons of light across the hospital window. I thought that rebirth always comes at a high price, but if everyone is willing to pay their part, the result can be truly wonderful. The Phoenix Electric showroom shone in the light of spotlights and camera flashes. My last installation, A Stranger with Him, a huge chandelier created from recycled car parts, dominated the center of the entrance area. Journalists crowded around, recording every word. My father picked up a pair of scissors and cut the ribbon. Welcome to the future of sustainable luxury. Mara appeared beside him. Channel 7 wants to interview the CEO. I smiled as I watched potential buyers flock to the showroom. The CEO is now admiring his work. Ezra ran up to me, waving the tablet. Pre-orders are just crazy. The sustainable luxury market can't get enough of your work. Your installations are trending on all platforms right now. Mom gently touched my forearm. A new habit, as if she was still afraid that I would disappear. Melanie, dear, the governor wants to order an art object from you for the Capitol. I winked. Have him contact my assistant. I'm a very exclusive person now. On the other side of the showroom, Wendy was explaining our innovative financing system to investors. Louise headed a new transport program in the medical field. Even Nathan found his place overseeing research projects in collaboration with universities. A reporter from the New York Times squeezed closer. Miss Gonzalez, what's it like? Completely changed the traditional family business. Before I could answer, my father took a step forward. My daughter didn't just change the business, he said proudly. She saved him and all of this by just staying with herself. The journalist raised her eyebrows. Despite all the family difficulties, our sources say that there was a serious gap between you. I met my father's eyes. Sometimes the abyss just makes room for a new, more solid foundation. Speaking of funds, Ezra interjected, handing me a tablet. The Foundation for Sustainable Art wants you to head its board. Mom squeezed my hand again. Go, she whispered. We can handle it here. I shook my head. Family first, business second. Isn't that our new motto? The showroom continued to fill with people admiring both cars and art. Each work told a story of transformation. From the massive chandelier above us to the little phoenix that was still standing on my desk. Chalk. Mara called. Your sisters are looking for you. Something about a youth support program. I found Louise in the conference room, surrounded by blueprints. We were given approval. She exclaimed. The Youth Art Center may begin construction next month. Where exactly? She smiled. On the site of an old car dealership. Where else? From the sale of cars. In creating opportunities. I muttered, smiling. Very much in the spirit of the new us. Nathan peeked into the room. Mom got emotional again. Dad is trying to cope, but... I followed him and saw my mother, surrounded by guests, wiping away tears. Mom. I gently touched her shoulder. Are you okay? She hugged me tighter than ever. I just never could have imagined it all. You've created something truly beautiful. Outside and inside. We created, I corrected, when we stopped destroying and began to rebuild. Wendy came over, holding a glass of champagne. To recovery, she said. And for my sister, who taught us that sometimes the most valuable things, these are the ones we almost threw away. When the last guest left, the whole family gathered under the chandelier. Her shadows danced on our faces, creating patterns that none of us could have predicted. By the way, my father suddenly said, those documents. We have not destroyed them publicly. I went to my office and came back with papers that once changed everything. In fact, I said, I have other plans for them. I handed out a sheet to each family member. Together we approached the main art installation of the showroom, a massive glass-blowing furnace. Phoenix rises from the ashes, I said, opening the oven door. But first the old must burn. One by one, we threw the documents into the flames. When they turned to ash, I took the glass-blowing tools. Look, I said, collecting the molten glass mixed with ash. That's how beauty is born out of pain. A few hours later, the new figure was cooling down on the table. A small glass sculpture of a family. Its core held the ashes of the worst moment in our lives, but now it has become part of something new. It's us, Mom whispered. This is who we've become, I corrected. Not perfect, not whole, but stronger than before. When Ezra and Mara found us, we were still standing there admiring the figure. Ready to end the day, boss? Ezra asked. I looked at my family, really looked. At my father's proud smile, at my mother's soft, caring gaze, at the relaxed poses of my brothers and sisters. At how far we have come from the night when they tried to reject me. Actually, I smiled looking at them. I think we're just getting started. The chandelier above us caught the last rays of the setting sun, scattering rainbow reflections across the showroom. Like a family. Like art. Like life itself. Sometimes the most beautiful things are born when you know exactly which pieces to keep, which to transform, and which to let go. Okay, I said, taking one last look at the showroom, it's time to go home. And this time I knew exactly what it meant.